Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Story Darlings podcast. I'm Sandra.
And I'm Tara. And Jessie, you get to introduce yourself this time because you're the honorary story darling.
Yay! All right, I'm Jess.
There is like a skit or something that just reminded me of. And it's like, and I'm Jess.
I don't know.
I don't know where if anybody knows what I'm talking about, please let me know because that's going to bug me.
You could be thinking of the
is it
New
New Girl
theme song. It's Who's That Girl?
Oh, Lord.
It's Jess.
The both of you. This is all Tara needs.
It clicked right when you were saying that too.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we are discussing the second book in a trilogy that we just started last week, guys. We picked this up very quickly. It is called The Glow of the Everflame. We are behind on it, but we picked up the reading skills very quickly on it.
Some of us read it a while ago.
Some of us just read it fast.
You know what? We finished reading it 2 days ago. The details are already starting to get a little bit foggy for me. I'm like, this is about the limit that I can wait to record.
But it was so good. I couldn't put the dang thing down. And Jessie did. I keep calling you Jessie because Sandra messages
it's
Jessie.
A habit for me.
That's my name. It's
because I love the spelling of Jessie.
If I ever call you a name you don't want to be called, just be like, Tara, stop, okay?
No, I go by Jessie in my everyday life. I just when we started doing the Buffy podcast, I was like, I don't want to have to explain my spelling of my name to people, so we'll just go with Jess. Yeah, okay. Jessie's fine.
Jess and her last name is really fun though. You would appreciate it, Tara.
Yeah, my full name is Jess Jurhs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do like that. I do.
I changed my gamer tag to just be Gestures, spelled with the G. Because I think it's fun.
It is fun. You said this was a trilogy, but how many books is this going to be?
There's going to be 4. There's only 3 out right now.
4?
But yes, Burn is going to be the last book.
There's got to be a lot of stuff happening in the third book because I feel like 4 isn't going to be enough for how I feel about this series so far. I know we kind of went over star ratings for Spark of the Everflame. I gave it a 4.25, I think. I gave this one a 4.5. It was so strong. Hopefully, Heat of the Everflame will be even better.
See, this is why I don't give stars because I am apparently not. I'm critical, but I'm not that critical in my star rating because I would have given this a 5 and the last one a 5 and probably any of the others that we read were 5s, even though I had critiques on them.
I had some character annoyances with Diem. That's the only reason why, and we will talk about it. But before we get into those spoilers and our favorite scenes and things like that, major plot happenings, because we have a lot to talk about, especially in what we're just so wrong about and what we are right about and where we think it's going. The last book ended on Diem getting her crown and still being in denial about being immortal or as close as immortal. And then this one picks up with her just kind of running off, right? Lily and Teller show up and they're trying to calm her down and she's just having a meltdown and freaking out.
Well, Lily shows up because she got invited to dinner.
she was so cute. I love her so much.
Yeah, me
I adore her. She had her little flowers. You know what? A lot of the family members and stuff, even distant family members, are just so amazing in this series. What else can we say before jumping into spoilers?
I think we have to jump into spoilers at this point because I can't.
I mean, a rough overview of the book is that we get Diem coming to terms with the fact that she is now queen of the kingdom, and basically the overarching premise of this book is that for the first 30 days there's a trial period where she has to please the nobility.
So we did get a little bit more about why there's a 30-day delay on her mom being able to come home. But I'm still a little confused on that. That's a spoiler. I'm still a little confused on that.
Yeah.
We'll unpack all of that. The vaguest premise of this book is the first 30 days of Diem learning about her new role.
Mm-hmm. And where, trying to navigate where her loyalties lie, because she's very much still torn between the mortals and the guardians and her proposal non-answer to Henry.
Oh my gosh.
Which...
my eyes are rolling so much on that.
These are my anger.
During the last episode was I feel like it's obviously a knot, and I was like, oh,
it's hard. Yeah,
it should be a knot.
Well, we all knew that.
Like, it's obvious that she is not in love with him in the way that she should be if she's accepting a proposal.
He is her longest, oldest friend.
That's true.
Sandra, you're my longest, oldest friend. I'm not marrying you.
But also, it's clear that when Henry accepts her acceptance of the proposal, he is not doing that for the right reasons either.
Yes, I just have a series of vomit emojis about all of that.
Yeah. I was proud of myself because usually I can't see red flag men right away. And in Henry's case, I did.
You're like, woohoo! I saw the red flags.
It's like, I grew as a person.
He had so much potential, and then he just fell into the wrong group, and then they grew apart, and he just grew into a really terrible person.
Do we find Henry completely irredeemable at this point, or do we think he could come back in like a friend capacity and you guys would be okay with it?
I'm going to personally treat this as I would in real life, which is I'm not going to hold my breath at all. If he wants to step up, cool, but I doubt it, judging by some of his actions.
I'm with Sandra. There are a few glimpses of potential better Henry than what we're seeing, but then he doesn't go with those decisions. You can see him try to make the better decision, but he doesn't. I'm with Sandra. I'm not going to like write him off completely, because if he does start making better decisions, then I'm still going to be leery of him.
Yeah.
But allow him to make the better decisions.
We talked about this before, kind of in the context of Diem only, though, but the Guardians kind of having that grooming-ish with the younger kids. And I just feel like Henry is so immersed in that 24/7 that he doesn't have any real hope of getting out of that as long as he's surrounded by those particular people, because they're just kind of encouraging it.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh well.
Yes, he's fully indoctrinated, that's for sure. Definitely interesting with where we are. I mean, we're obviously all Team Luther. He is the greatest.
1000%.
Okay, I am partial to Taryn, though, too.
Okay,
Oh my God.
everyone's partial to Taryn, Tara.
Like,
Taryn
I don't know if I
everything.
can say Luther is the greatest. I'm like...
For Diem. Luther's the greatest for Diem.
He's like Lorcan to me. Like, there's just something about Lorcan for me.
Yeah, no, I'm like such a huge Lorcan. Lorcan and Elide is the correct pronunciation of her name. Lorcan and Elide were the reason I finished that series.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the other characters, but I loved Lorcan and Elide.
He's not meant to be the main character, but I feel like he could be the main character.
He should have been the main character.
He's such a scene stealer.
I like all that male rage. Like Sandra said she liked the female rage in this book. I like the male rage for Lorcan.
He was a character that I didn't even know we needed in the series. And then he just came on page and was like, you can't stop reading his dialogue and chuckling and laughing. He is so great. Tara, did you read the bonus scene?
Not yet. I have not read the bonus scene.
Okay.
You can spoil it for me, though. I will read it. It's fine.
I mean, are we talking spoilers now?
Yes, I think we're fully immersed in here. I mean, we talked about Henry a little bit. I figured we're just kind of going through characters at this point, talking about where we're at with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who loves Eleanor?
Eleanor is my favorite.
She is so magical. I love her. I love the fact that she understands where she stands, but also the privileges that she has. So she has some very not great things happening to her because she's a woman and this is basically a patriarchal society, but she also understands that she has privilege. And
I just love her dynamic with Diem in general. I love the confidence that Diem instills in Eleanor, the way that their relationship grows, and like the clear dynamic where Diem does need her. It's not like, oh, I like this girl and she's cool, so I'm gonna make her one of my advisors because I like her. Eleanor actually is super smart and savvy and like inclined to know things that Diem needs. Like she's actually an added benefit to the inner circle of Diem's like people. So
okay, and speaking of the inner circle, I also love how they've just basically said I'm down. They're ride or die for Diem.
They're ride or die for Luther, and he was like, here is this girl, and they're like, cool, we're here. Well, immediate trust.
And I love how like Terrence's like, I think I might like her better than you.
The whole funeral scene when they can't hide the fact that Ulther has passed away And she shows up, Diem shows up in the black dress, and everyone is just gasping the audacity of her to show up and disrespect the king this way. And Eleanor is just like on the verge of tears. She's so upset
She feels
because
like
of
a failure.
yes, Luther's father is just being a huge dick. And then you have Taryn not wanting to move over and sit next to Eamon, another cousin.
And they're like, we can all fit. And Taryn makes some fun comments.
They squished her. They make a DM sandwich.
Yeah.
That is not a bad place to be.
No. That's what I was thinking the whole time, too. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Shucks.
So Eleanor, we obviously got her name in the first book, but we now know Eleanor is the one that Luther trusted to take care of her. So we got to fall in love with Eleanor. We also met Taryn in the first book, but we didn't get his name because he was one of the people at like the fire scene that it's talking to Luther. So I think that whole scene also endeared Diem to them like right away. Was the fact that she was willing to just call Luther out on all of his crap when he was ignoring her, and they all just were like,
who's this yelling at you? And then they sided with her against him because he didn't want her to go in, and they're like, I think she's fine. She'll be okay.
She's got this. The other person we meet who was in that fire scene, her name is, I'm going to mispronounce it probably, Alexei?
How'd the audiobook say it? Was it Alix?
Alix.
Okay. I'm really bad with name pronunciations unless I read the audiobook, and I didn't, so.
She was great, too.
Yeah. Alix, I feel like, didn't get a lot of screen time in this book.
But I did like her fangirling over her Diem's dad. I did like that. We see a lot of discrimination against the mortals from all of the family members, right? But there are the few that have zero discrimination in their bones, and that was just one scene that she not only wasn't discriminating against mortals, but that she was fangirling over a mortal.
Tara, you brought it up. You were very sour about him.
Speaking of Diem's dad, yeah, last book you
And
said
Jesse.
he was on your list, and I was like, I'm curious how you're gonna feel about that later.
He was still on my list, okay?
Yeah.
So there was a scene, and I feel for Diem in that scene where she had made him her advisor so that they could be together during this journey. I get his point, but to her, that was basically him telling her that either she wasn't worth it or she was making wrong decisions and he didn't want to be a part of it. And then he went and died. And that wasn't his fault, but he went and got murdered.
So
oh my god.
Yeah, how dare you?
Heartless.
Mr. Diem's dad.
Yeah, how dare you go die after you did this? So I feel like torn, basically probably like Diem does, because they did not have the best last moments together either. I wish that they had been able to bridge their fighting a little bit more. Obviously, that wouldn't tear at your heartstrings the same way, right? If everything was peachy.
It's interesting to me that you feel that way, Tara, because I think that whole situation lends into what Sandra said earlier about how Diem's decision-making this book wasn't the greatest, because I put a lot of that poor interaction on Diem. She asked him to be an advisor, and all he was doing was advising her that maybe this isn't the time to start forcing the descended to accept mortals. He wasn't saying, like, I'm disappointed in you. She misinterpreted what he was saying in an emotional fit, and she didn't take a step back and, like, take a deep breath and try to see things from anyone else's perspective in that situation. I think it was very clear that he wasn't saying, like, I won't do this. I don't think he was saying, like, that she was wrong to try and include him, but he was thinking of her and her best interest and the kingdom's best interest. And he was like, I might not be the right person for this role right now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There were some scenes that she lacks the ability to put herself in other people's shoes.
Yeah, that was a huge growing moment for her.
And then there are some scenes like with the funeral and Eleanor and putting herself in Eleanor's shoes and being like, it's not your fault. That she does a really good job at that. But I think she is a little bit blinded where the people that she grew up with are, because she feels like they're going to hold it against her that she is now one of the descendants.
Sandra, you have disagreement face.
I have so many thoughts about the trajectory of Diem, because you see these inklings in the first book and then even more so in the second book, especially after the challenge. It's almost this very alarming ego that starts to come out, and I don't know if that ego is part of her or something else that she has inherited from someplace, because that scene where she was kind of embracing this power and showing it to everyone, I know that one reason was she wanted to make sure no one challenged her again, but a part of her really gravitated to that. And there's so many times throughout the book where she would just completely stop listening to people and just not hear them out, whether it was Taryn or Luther. I don't want to say it's a miscommunication trope, but she would just flat out not listen to what they had to say and then just go run with her plan. And that did cause issues. It ended up getting her father murdered too, in my opinion, because she didn't think through what all the consequences would be in appointing this mortal man to be in this position.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate here because she is 20 years old. I don't know if you guys remember when we were 20, but we were not very smart. And I don't think I would have been able to like really think out those kind of consequences that I didn't know were as a possibility, right? Like,
we
Yeah.
would have been behaving like she did at the dinner party for the young Courbois.
But also that's why advisors exist for young royals. And she just, like Sandra said, blatantly just refused to acknowledge other people's advice sometimes.
She did, yeah.
There's definitely a lot of arrogance trope in there.
The house, even annihilating the house that she grew up in. It was a very impulsive, it was a depressed kind of rage, but still was very impulsive.
Not giving Teller any opportunity to say goodbye to the entire life that he knew.
get his like papers for his classes.
Schoolwork.
Okay, again, I'm going to play devil's advocate on that though. I agree. But I am thinking, like Sandra said, how much of this is her and how much of this is something else? Because we do see this God voice in her head. Yeah.
Fight.
And so I don't know that she had very much control.
Well, she clearly doesn't.
I don't know how much of that was her that destroyed it or just she lost power, like she lost control. Finding your dad dead and finding out that your whole life was a lie and finding out all of these things have to mess with your brain. It has to mess with you and your personality, and especially living in this place that you don't know if you can trust anybody, let alone everybody that's around you. I would have a hard time listening to advisors if I didn't know for a fact I could trust them. Now, her dad, she should have. Taryn and Luther, especially with the back and forth on can I trust you? Can I not trust you? Are you thinking of me or are you just thinking of your family's power?
All the times that she was thinking Aemon is telling the truth. Luther did do these despicable things like run over a poor child with this horse and
that wasn't
all these
Aemon
children.
deceiving
and he
her.
brought Ileana to the dinner and da-da-da-da-da. Like a part of her acknowledged that, oh, this could be Aemon playing me, blah, blah, blah. But it was still in her internal dialogue. Is he? Like, I shouldn't trust Luther. And that's what kept annoying me.
How do we feel about Aemon? Do we think he might be like an heiress or do we think he's like trash?
I'm going to lean towards trash because Taryn is so adamant, has such strong feelings about his brother not being good.
What do you think the strong feelings are? I have a thing in my head as to why they have such strong feelings against Aemon.
To me, it felt like they were trying to say that the father was abusive toward them. They didn't have the scars to show. But Aemon's reaction and how he is so opposite to what Taryn is. I wonder if he was more of an instigator in that type of thing, because he seems more easily controlled than Taryn.
I think he was a part of it.
You think he was
not
doing
just
it?
An instigator, but a part of it.
Jess?
What do you think?
Like, I'm looking at this wonderful page.
Look at how
Tera,
pretty the inside of this book is.
it's so pretty.
It is pretty.
The end
It is really
papers.
pretty, actually. Like, that was a distraction technique, but I also meant it. I know a little bit more than you guys in regards to this situation, so I'm going to flag this for next week's discussion.
I know that when we find out, we're going to have our hearts just kind of shredded and stomped on. Tera, go read the bonus scene because it talked about, I want to say he was suicidal at one point is what it made it sound like and stuff like that.
Who was?
Like was the Terran. Very dark place.
Oh,
and I'm just
not
like,
my
not my
boy,
poor
Terran.
baby. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of abusive fathers, would we find out what happened to Luther by his dad?
We find out a lot about Luther this book.
So much about Luther. There's a lot to
I wanted
unpack.
her to like just kill him, not make another deal with him.
Does it make any difference to you that it was an accident?
No.
For Luther? I mean, he was going for the mom. He meant to do it to the mom, which is not good either.
No.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't to me because he obviously didn't make up for it. He obviously was doing other things too, because I doubt Luther would have held it against him to the point that he did if that was the only time that something happened.
I don't know. I feel like that was a big enough thing that I could see Luther holding just that against his dad for his entire life.
But like Sandra said, there's that like little bit of a wiggle room that he was meaning to do it to his mom. And so I would find it hard for him to say that you abused me as a child when it was an accident that he hit you in the first place.
But there was also a bunch of lies.
Sending his mother to the mental institute.
That's what I'm saying. I think it was more than just that one incident that happened. And so I am done with his dad. Go burn in hell, dude.
I was going to make a smug comment, but then I mean, Jesse knows more than we do at this point. At least he doesn't have powers anymore. Mm-hmm. But they talked about, oh, you know, our council is very young right now. It'd be a good idea to bring on older people. And even though he doesn't have power, he still has value and it will make him feel valued. And maybe that's how we can keep that relationship in check. A part of me hopes that doesn't come back to bite them in the ass if he turns out to just be a snake in waiting.
He doesn't seem like a trustworthy person.
He didn't break the bonded bargain.
Well, he wasn't allowed to, though, because of magic.
Yeah, I don't think
but he could have.
He didn't break it for her benefit.
That bargain was worded in a way that there could have been loopholes, right? I feel like if he really, really put his mind to it, he could have worked around it and had somebody else.
But then his son would have probably taken the throne and he would have been even further out. So I think he had, in his mind.
Let's talk about his son. And that whole bonded bargain situation.
I did enjoy that a lot.
Diem promised him she wouldn't tell anybody, and she accidentally let it slip. She accidentally let it slip to Luther, and we're all sitting here like, well, Luther wouldn't do anything to hurt Diem, so like he's not going to do anything with that information. And come challenge day, whoop, there it is.
Every single house challenged her, ending with Luther.
Okay,
I have a theory on Luther challenging her. I don't think his was a real challenge. I think he was going to die. No matter what she did, he was going to let himself die so that she lived.
Well, that's what he tells her.
Yeah. He claimed that he had a way of making it look real, though. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, honey bunny. We all know that the terms of this challenge is someone has to die, and that's how it ends. How are you going to get around this?
He was going
to kill himself with his magic and make it look like Diem did it. I had a hard time with this scene because this is one of the problems with speed reading. I didn't fully understand that like she was only going to be fighting one person that day no matter what. I thought it was like if multiple people from one house challenged her, then only one person per house could fight her, but that she would have to fight any house that challenged her. So when Luther was like, I challenge her, I was like, what are you doing? I was like, you're just joining the masses of people who want to fight her. And then like halfway through that scene, I was like, oh, I didn't understand these rules. And like, so I was freaking out thinking that like he was actually evil and like was doing it to hurt her. I was thrown.
So what was his biggest motivation there? Was it just protecting Diem, or did he also want to strip his father of power, though? Because
I
I
think
kind
that
of
was
took
an
it both
added
ways.
bonus.
I 100% think it was an added bonus. I don't think he was going to challenge her if nobody challenged her, but I think he filed that away in his back pocket and was like, I can hurt my dad and protect Diem this way. I'm gonna do it.
I think it just made him come to that decision faster. But we saw that one dude again, the guy that
Yes.
killed the mom,
The little boy.
and the little boy.
Okay, so she has more willpower than I do with the whole letting him off thing.
Let's also take a moment to take a deep sigh of relief that he is not her father or her love interest.
Like that dude isn't? Okay.
Yeah, Tara was like, is that secretly the enemies to lovers? Or is that her father? And I was like, no.
I can't keep track of all the
Yeah,
all the
I
dad
had a lot
possibilities.
of possibilities for her enemies to lovers / father, okay? I still have a lot of possibilities, because I'm still iffy on Vance, which I don't think he is, but like he is giving creep vibes.
Something we need to talk about. They mentioned that one of the Grivern that died belonged to the king of Fortos, the Force and Valor guy. He was the one during the foreign ball that was just really rude, had no time of day. She asked him, do you have any information about my father? Because he knew her family. And he didn't answer the question. That is very suspicious. And
Sus.
they keep talking about like he was all angry and in a huff because a bunch of weapons disappeared along with Breck from his territory. And we know that dumbass Henry and Lana are traveling to Arboros together. I'm like, are they bringing something there? Like, what is going on? But this is just like further making me think that something is going to develop between Henry and Lana. But anyway, yes, Jesse?
That's a wild theory. I almost just gave away a spoiler because in the last episode we were talking, I almost spilled it that Lily came to dinner because I thought that had happened at the end of the first book, but really it happened at the beginning of the second book. And I almost just had another one of those moments because this book ends, and we're jumping all around here, but this book ends with her at the island in the middle, which we did find out that's where her mom has been this whole time. And we get to find out that Luther's the one who brought her mom there. I think that the book ends with an explosion happening and her mom yelling at her to get down, but we don't really find out who survived that explosion.
Or what happened.
What
really.
happened. We also know that she dropped her blood onto the Heartstone and it broke.
Which, okay, so they all got mad about it breaking, but that was the prophecy that the chick from, like, what island was it? The old lady, Umbros, told her. So she had to have known that it was going to break if her blood went on it. So why are they all up in arms over this?
Well,
like,
clearly Umbros didn't share that information. So, gonna be interesting to see how that ties in, how Orally being there ties in, what Orally is doing there, because we don't really get that information, do we?
No, we do not. We get it shortly after the end of this book, though, because I listened a little ahead. So spoiler, we do get information.
Tara's already started the third book, so Tara also can't talk right now.
Tara,
she skipped
how
the bonus chapter that we told her to
know
read.
We were going to record on Tuesday, and I couldn't stop reading on Sunday. So
I don't blame you. I do recall specifically saying that as soon as you finished book 2, you would immediately want book 3.
Yes, and I did, but I did stop once you guys gave, like, recording wasn't going to be this weekend, because there's no way I could have waited until this weekend to then start the book.
Glutton.
I know. I am horrible.
Hey, I didn't wait either. So I didn't even wait until we were done with the first recording. So I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about this inner turmoil with all of the leaders of the immortal side. The Descendants.
Yeah.
In the bonus scenes and in the main book, they keep talking about smell. So Luther keeps talking about the smell of flowers, and we know his mom was Fleuril, which you were talking about, French and meanings of names, like last episode, and that is floral flowers. And then I looked into it, and Arlie is golden. So I'm like, but they keep talking about smells. There's something with the smells. And I'm like, does this have something to do with bloodlines in each of the kingdoms? Because it was just a really interesting interaction with Fortos and was it the fauna place and the
Uh-huh.
Arboros. Like they just had this weird little inside joke kind of vibe that they were giving. And I'm like, what is going on here?
I don't know. I was thinking more mates and the smells and like how every time you have the mate trope, it's like I can smell you stronger. But I didn't catch on that the like smells of the others too.
There has to be something with flowers because when Luther talked about the scene with his mom coming, like breaking out of the institution, coming to see him, she brought him flowers. And I'm like, that is such a random thing to bring your son, like your teenage son, is like a bouquet of flowers. And I'm like, is that what he smells? Because he keeps associating the scent with his mom and Diem, like feeling like home. And then she keeps really gravitating to his scent of pine forest.
Yeah, and that's where I mate popped into my head because that smell keeps drawing them to each other.
Which, on that topic, Jesse, you were like, put a pin in this because I don't think that he was going to say what you guys think he was going to say. So, of
Was he gonna
course, like
say
my
my queen?
reaction.
That's my theory, is that because he talks to Diem about the vision, when he discusses his backstory with her, he tells her that he knew he was going to serve a silver-haired queen. So that was my theory. It could still have been mate because
I still am teammate.
but I don't know, and I think that it's important that we keep that up in the air.
I feel like he knows that they're mates, and there was some really heartfelt interactions with Taryn, like pulling Luther away, like especially when Henry was around and he was kissing Diem, like Diem kissing Henry in front of Luther, and just the reaction and Taryn seeing it and like trying to just console him, like,
Oh my
it's gonna
gosh.
be okay. I feel like Taryn is very privy to some very sensitive, important information there. But I also feel like Jesse, I think I'm leaning your way. I feel like in the first book, Luther was trying to say, I'm your servant. I'm your loyal servant. You're my queen.
I'm here to serve. Yeah, I'm here to help you.
It's interesting because as a romantic interest, he has this very devout, I worship you type of relationship with Diem. It kind of borders on, yes, it borders on like, I don't know if I really like this or not right now. But I mean, I love the tension between them, but it's just something about he's literally worshiping her.
Well, he's worshiping Lumos, but in his worship of Lumos, has this like this reverent devotion to Diem. I think my problem with it is that it's so unreciprocated. It hurts me that he is like already there, and she's just like, I'm gonna date this mortal boy for a bit. And this is what endeared me to Tera, was his conversation with her about it that happened in this book, right?
Yes.
Like they're down in the basement trying to get her magic to work, and Tera is basically like, bro, you need to get your shit together.
Yeah. And he struggled with even doing that. He's like, oh, I don't know if I need to do this, but he's like, fuck it. I'm just going to say it. It needs to be said.
Yeah. And it did. It needed to be said. That is why I am team Tera 100%.
You know, Luther's not going to put that kind of pressure on Diem, you know?
Yeah, because he's willing to wait.
You know, they had that one mention of one-sided mates, and I'm like,
yeah,
is this happening?
Mates. Let's discuss that, because they did talk about what mates are in this book. To me, it doesn't feel like it's super like fated the way it is in most books, most romantasy books. They're not fated. You choose your mate, but then once you choose your mate, that's it forever. My heart breaks for the king that I didn't even really like that much.
But you develop some sympathy for him after hearing some of the things.
So I get that he does what we see is bad things. At the same time, we hear about what they wanted him to do, and the fact that this is a lot better than what they wanted him to do. And so I don't know that he was that bad, right? I think he was making the best of a horrible situation that he could. And if somebody else had been king, then it would have probably been a lot worse.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I got to feeling that he wasn't as bad as what we were thinking in the first book, in this book. Because we also see that he had a really decent relationship with Luther, and he is the one who made his brother stop beating their children.
That's true.
Because he went and talked to him, and he's like, stop it now.
I got that he had a very complicated relationship with Luther. I know that they grew close, but I think he perpetuated a lot of the rift between Luther and his father. Luther talks about how like there was a lot of things that the former king did that he didn't agree with. Their relationship was strained in certain ways.
And yeah, I mean, he put into law that like Luther had to kill the kids. Kind of that devil's advocate. Like if he didn't put that into law, then everybody would have been kicked out, or like that was his way of.
And Luther was appointed warden of the law.
Yeah, I
Makes
also
you
can't
wonder.
help but wonder if the king put Luther in a position to save those children.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I think he couldn't
He knew
outright, like,
Luther.
yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he was in a position where he could, yeah, you should do this. But I also am guessing that he didn't look too deep into Luther's actions so that he had plausible deniability if anything
okay,
ever came to
yes.
light.
So this may be a spoiler. Sorry, Sandra, if this is, because I can't remember if this happened or if we were told this in this
God.
one. I think we were. So cut it out if it's not. Did we find out about Luther's parentage in this one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Like being half mortal.
Yeah, so the king would have known that he was half mortal, right? And so would have probably known that he has a little bit of an affinity for the half mortal kids not dying, because that would be himself. So I would assume that the king may have had more of an inclination that he would not carry out those laws to the best of his ability.
I don't know if the king did know or not, because it sounded like Remus was able to convince his wife go hide away for 9 months with the mortal woman and like pass Luther off as her kid. But I could also see it being easy for the king to know that that's what happened. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's a little bit of a mystery.
Okay, hold on. I just had a theory. It just popped into my head. Okay, so that means Luther has a brother somewhere, a half brother. Where is that child that was born? Because she was pregnant, wasn't she? Like
No.
Ivana?
the mom?
I don't
No, Remus convinced her to tell everyone she was pregnant.
Okay.
And then disappear so that no one saw her being pregnant. And then when Luther was born, she just like came back to court and was like, surprise, here's my baby.
Okay, that makes more sense, because I was thinking she was pregnant. I'm like, what did they do with that child?
No, they do. Remus does end up having a kid with his wife, and that's Lily, like later.
Yeah.
So Lily is full descended, but Luther's only half. Let's also talk about the fact that Luther is half mortal and is the most powerful descended, and Diem is half mortal and is the most powerful descended. Do we not think that that is significant?
And
because I feel like that's massively significant.
I think that
it's
that is
massively significant, because even Luther's eyes have silver in them. They're always described as like a blue-gray, and hers are all gray. But
so that is a connection to Lumos, because
Lumos?
her eyes were silver.
Were they?
Yeah. And so, like, his connection to her, I wonder if that's when he got the silver in his eyes, is when she saved him.
I don't
There's
think
gotta
that's
be
a
something
thing
with
for
Lumos
reasons.
and the EVERFLAME, though.
I think that you guys are not correct, but I have reasons for that.
That's fine. Whatever.
But I could be wrong. I want to share an unhinged theory that I had that I think has been proven wrong. But when Diem's father died, I low-key thought it might have been the Guardians that done it, because she had told Henry about things. At one point in the book, Henry was like, I don't want the Guardians to ever think of you as a threat again, but there hadn't been any repercussions for her with the Guardians necessarily. So I thought that they had like written mortal trash and like made it staged it to look like it had been descended, and they'd like robbed the armory, so they had descended weapons. And I thought that they had like killed her father in cold blood and staged it to look like it was one of the descended families.
Mm-hmm.
And I held on to this. I'm trying to remember if something is said
It's not in this book.
Okay. But so there's something
'Cause
that
I
is
know
How
where
much
you're
did
going
you
with
read,
that.
Tara? Damn it. I thought it was
I
the
know where
honorary
you're going
family.
with that, but it's not in this book.
But that was an unhinged theory that I wanted to share, because I was like super mad at Henry for her father's death, and then it turns out it wasn't actually his fault.
Or at least
I did.
something that happens in the next book shortly after it starts, because I didn't read that much, would
You
indicate
loser.
that is not the truth.
Yeah, the thing that we find out pretty early in book 3
Yeah.
kind of solidifies that.
I figured that's
okay.
where you were going with that one. And I'm like, that kind of would throw a wrench in a whole shit ton of things.
Yeah. So
I mean, I just assumed it was Ileana's family that put a
Mhm.
hit on the father, because I suspected that Orally was high up in the Guardians, if not the leader, just because of why is she the one hanging out at the Kindred's temple and trying to prevent whatever happening? Like, what is she trying to suppress and keep from happening with gathering this flame root and putting her daughter on it? Like, it's just a big responsibility to have.
I just had to share that because, like, the whole second half of this book, I was like, oh, the Guardians are really secretly the bad guys, and then they weren't.
I still think that they are secretly the bad guys.
I mean,
Probably a mix,
I think that
right?
they're definitely
On both sides.
That's what I love about this book, is that, like, there's no inherently evil species. There's no good guys versus bad guys. It is clear that Diem is torn between her two worlds, and there are good people on both sides, and there's been injustices done on both sides. The mortals obviously haven't done anything to the Descended, but the Descended are in this, like, cycle of abuse and ignorance, because when Diem says things to Taryn and Eleanor and Luther, they're all, like, shocked at some of the things that she, like, tells them.
Well, and the Guardians are mortals that are doing bad things to this
Mhm.
Descended, so
They're willing to poison Descended children to infiltrate their homes. Like, you know.
So I know Sandra mentioned this as like a red flag for her, but I absolutely loved when Diem got all that power and like used her power and like, now bow down, bitches. I loved it. I was like, you go, girl.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it too, but it's a fine line being a cautionary tale. I guess I've watched too much Poppy War.
I would have probably went further and be like, I want to murder you. Come on. I would have probably made all 20 houses fight me at once just to show them that, like, I could do it.
Oh, jeez. Tara out there showing off.
Mhm.
Didn't the entity that was talking to her, or am I getting scenes confused here? Like, didn't it turn into a man at some point? Like a man kind of figure when she finally got unlocked?
She had another one of those visions. And when she had that vision, there was a man, I think he's described as a man with silver hair, dressed as a king.
Her father, I think.
Who says that, maybe, he's like, join me.
Finally
and
figuring
she's
out who the daddy is.
He's like, join me. And she's like, no, I don't want to kill all Descended. And he is like, okay. And, like, leaves. And then that's when she gets all of her power, and, like, that's the whole thing. So there is definitely an interesting vision-like situation with an undetermined male entity.
Mm-hmm.
So is Queen of Umbro in cahoots with him?
Maybe.
Because she's kind of trying to do the same thing, or usher in those steps. Did you not feel bad for Luther at the end when Orally just slashes the tendons in the back of his foot?
Dude, I felt bad for Luther 98% of this book.
Yes. This poor baby. He's just been through it all. Emotionally, physically. He's just pummeled.
I just want to pick him up and give him a hug.
And the fact that
was
he
that
knows
necessary?
And the fact that he knows he's in love with her daughter, and, like, if she hadn't done that, she would know that her daughter was on the island ahead of time and would probably have been late to the game of telling her to run. Because she even asks him, is it somebody I know? And he was, I think, about to tell her that, yes, in fact, you do know her, before she, like, and runs.
Well, he says something like, you need to stop this for the sake of your daughter, or something like that. And I was like, Luther, speak more clearly, bro. Use your words.
Time is of the essence. use them.
Your daughter is the queen would be the words you need to use. How did she not know? Like, she obviously knows that her daughter is...
But as far as she knew, her daughter was still taking the flame route, because Diem doesn't stop taking the flame route until 6 months after Orly leaves.
I get that, but I'm still like, you knew your daughter had powers, because that's the reason you made her start taking this.
She was hallucinating.
And you obviously know who her daddy is, unlike everybody else, and probably know that he was probably powerful.
Okay, in the first book, didn't she say that she killed him or something at the very end in the epilogue? Like, she was making sure he was dead, like she knew he was dead. I don't know. I got the feeling that she had put a stop to him or something.
Diem tells the queen that he's dead and that her mom said he was dead, and the queen assures her that he's alive.
And so does the little 8-ball thing.
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure if that happened in this book or not. Diem does receive a gift from one of the courts that allows her to ask yes or no questions.
I forgot what her first question was, because that was her...
Is my mom alive? I was like, bitch, you're gonna waste it on that question? Like, just keep working at Luther. He'll tell you eventually. Don't waste it on that.
Didn't he? I'm pretty sure
she
he
has
promised
one more
her.
question, though.
He did.
She does have one more question. She has not
my
asked
father
the last one.
alive?
She asked 2 questions, and she's allowed to ask 3.
I was trying to come up with questions, but all my questions weren't yes or no answers, so I was having a hard time.
I want to know what happens after the 3rd question is asked. Like, does it implode?
That's a good question. Does this implode after I ask my 3rd question?
Yes. What other gifts did she receive from
The
She
compass.
received the cloak.
She
And
received
the compass.
a cloak, and what does the cloak
Blade.
do again?
Warm.
Makes them warm.
It keeps her warm in all climates.
She cuddled with Luther under it.
Tara's just so excited about it.
They had some Netflix and chill time.
The animals for Saray.
Yes.
That she didn't want to feed
Which
to
I
Saray.
She's like, put these somewhere far, far away from Saray, please.
I love that. Never mind, I can't say that.
You bee.
There is a scene, Sandra, for you that is super cute about that.
Okay, well, if it's involving Saray, we got a bunch. Yes, a compass that points to her, the thing that she wants most.
The Queen of Umbros was like, you already got your present from me.
And she also offers. No, this is the Sophos people. They're like, oh, Teller can come to study here.
Yeah.
She's like,
And she's like,
hell no.
Diplomatically trying to say, I know what you do to the mortals after you're done with them. No.
Yeah. What did you guys think about that information when Henry gave it to her?
It sounds about right, but I'm at the point where I don't know that Henry's information is the truest or that he is telling it in the truest way. He's got ulterior motives to make her think bad things about all of the Descendant.
Has the book really described what happens? I feel like they've kind of glossed
Henry
over
just
the
said
details.
that they get experimented on. They disappear and get experimented on. Speaking of information Henry gets wrong, what did we think about Luther and his horse? I remember you guys being like, oh no, it's Luther's horse that Henry saw. And I was like, yeah, it was.
You start putting together that it is Aemon just because he's just so explicit about being this snake. Remember when she couldn't access her power in this book? Like, she was just hitting a wall, and it was because she was depressed and just numb and not feeling anything is how it worded it. But I think up until that point, I kept thinking the necklace, ended up being this red herring that Aemon gave her for the dinner. Like, oh, wear this phoenix. And it has like the color gemstones of his eyes and stuff. I'm like, this is definitely a trap and you should not wear that.
Well, it was the Corbois eye color, not just Aemon's.
Then he gave her another one with silver diamonds.
Luther did.
Okay, so what did we think about the fact that they put a little bit of their magic into the eyes?
Luther did. Aemon didn't.
Did Aemon? Okay.
Luther imbued the necklace with a drop of his magic so that he would be with her always.
That kind of sounds dark.
No, it was
the
cute.
way you said that, I'm like, is something bad? Like, why would he ever be separated from her?
Well, that's
She's
what he
wearing
tells
his
her
blood
when
around
he
her
hands
neck.
her when he gives her the pendant right before the challenge. He was like, "So that I can always be with you," and I was like,
He's
okay.
such a
And then he
sweetie.
challenges her, and she's like, "You
Yeah.
bitch!"
Yeah, and then he challenges her, and she's like, "Forget all
She
of the nice
gets
things
so
you
mad.
just did for me. I am offended." I didn't for a second think that it was Luther on the horse when Diem was thinking that. I was like, he borrowed a horse from somebody or something. That's not enough information. Like,
Of course it was Eamon.
and then Henry walks by and sees Luther arguing with Eamon, and he's like, "That's the guy." And I was like, "Yeah, Eamon. You didn't stop to be like, which one of them is it?" You were just like, "Oh, of course it's Luther." And I was like, "Shut up,
Yeah, we're
Diem."
coming to find Henry's not very reliable as an eyewitness here. I mean, we also got Perth.
He's back.
Crushed leg man.
I feel like we shouldn't call him Crushed Leg Man.
Perth.
The perfect. I almost said guardian,
Perfect.
but that's
The perfect guard.
like guard. Yes.
Her first loyal subject that isn't Luther.
He's House Bennett, right?
Yes.
I liked how that Evrim, or whatever the guy's name was, the father of the two children, the brother and sister, kind of made an appearance, and how Diem was trying to bridge that gap between him and the kids and turn it into a more positive relationship. I'm like, keep doing that, Diem. Keep working on it.
Yeah, she encouraged the little boy to continue to be protective of his sister in a way that felt really alien to him, and I really liked that scene during the ball. Like, it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Almost as beautiful as Luther's declaration during the ball. I was like, whoo!
I remember this declaration, but I don't remember exactly what was said, and I remember that I typed it to you guys, or at least a form of it.
It was really lengthy.
The scene that got me was when he threatened the guards and was like, "Don't you ever let anyone treat Her Majesty like that again, including me, ever again." Just like tore into them. I was like, yes, Luther gets it.
Luther gets a lot of things.
Yes, he does. He's the goodest boy.
I don't know how she's holding out on him, though.
I don't know either. Yet she was like so eager to get hot and steamy with Henry, and Luther's just like, ahem.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
So the one that gets me is Taryn's comment about getting hot and steamy or something with both Luther and I was like, yep, I would like to, Taryn. I volunteer as tribute.
I'm excited for you guys to read book 3.
Oh, are there 3 of them? Is it a threefer?
No.
Oh, dang it. Or do we see Taryn with a person?
You know, Tara, you've already started book 3, so maybe you should just keep reading it.
Is it Eleanor? Is it going to be Eleanor?
No, they're cousins.
That's his cousin. We talked about this last
yeah, they
one.
are,
We
they
do
are.
not want
This is not an
incestuous
incest
relationships,
book.
okay?
They are
This is
cousins.
not an
Never
incest
mind.
book, Sandra.
There were the mated twins, sibling, like the twin mated. That was
Ew.
weird.
That was gross.
In a word, ick. I guess I forgot about that. I blocked that out of my memory, so I guess there's a little bit of incest in this book, and I apologize for misleading you. Now my life is ruined. Guess I'm logging off, guys.
So his what he said was basically, I'm gonna show them what will come to them if they come for you, and I'm like, oh yes.
Oh yes, that
Tara
was
loves that.
right before the challenge. Was such a good. That was like at that point, Diem had accepted her fate as Luther's person, and I was here for it.
And then he challenged her and ruined it. I think he did that for good reason, but that was up there with Dorian's, like, I'll bleed whatever color you want me to bleed.
Oh, Dorian. We're too easy.
Just say like things that show your devotion, and we're down.
Speaking of, I want you guys to know that I am personally offended that you would dare compare Kale to Henry, because Kale is
I'm offended.
He's way better than Henry.
This is Tara. This is Tara's flaw. This is your fatal flaw, Tara.
It is not my fatal flaw. I am not the only one who cannot stand Kale. Okay,
Justice for Kale.
He's made some very poor choices. Can we all agree on the fact that he has made some very poor choices?
He did the best he could.
He did, but he grew. we
did
don't
grow.
hold over their
Okay.
head forever. You
But
let
I
people
don't know
grow.
if Henry will grow. Henry could grow. We mentioned
I mean,
that
he's never
Henry
there.
could,
He didn't even show up to her challenge ceremony. That was
or
like
her
the
fucking
final
father's funeral.
straw.
I will.
He did show
go
up at her
out
father's funeral.
He did show
just
up.
showed up
after,
late.
after
He showed
the
up
fact.
late, and
Okay.
also
He's late.
like
I don't count
demanded
that.
something from her, didn't he?
I-
Like he
I
showed
don't
up
count
to
that.
ask her to do something.
Yes. I don't count that as him showing up to her father's funeral. I count that as him showing up for his own purposes, right? So, I will give you that in this book, Henry dropped multiple levels below Kale. I'm just saying in the first book, he was starting out to be the same kind of character to me as Kale was in, what was it, book 2 of Throne of Glass? Maybe 3?
Look, justice for Kaol, or as the Lost Books of Jess on Instagram would say, justice for Chol, because that's how she pronounces his name. And I love it. But I love it. Like, I didn't like him the first time I tried to read Throne of Glass, but that's because I was comparing him to Dorian, and that's like comparing...
Nobody's gonna win.
Yeah, that's like comparing dog poop to a diamond. Like, you can't hold other people to the standard that is my prince.
Poop, okay?
Okay.
No.
However, the second time I read it, I honestly don't think Kaol did anything that bad. And I know that we're supposed to be talking about Glow of the Everflame and not Throne of Glass, but I needed to say that.
Okay, well, I haven't read it a second time, so maybe I'll have the same take. But I do think he made a step up in Tower of Dawn.
Yeah.
Like, I do think he regained some of my good impressions of him in Tower of Dawn. But I loved him so much in book 1 that
he was your guy. He crushed you. He crushed you.
He crushed
That's what
my
happened.
spirit.
She hasn't been the same ever since, Jesse.
I am holding a grudge for the crushed spirit that he did to me.
Look, he's also the only human in that book. Like, he's the only full-blooded, non-magical being in that series, and he did the best he could, man. Like,
okay.
I just...
Yeah.
I was just pointing out that I think Henry is going to let me down, okay?
And
We're
he
starting
did.
out with him as the love interest, and then he did, in fact, I was correct. He did let me down.
Kaol would never look at Aelin and be like, ooh, if I marry you, I can be king. Sign me up. So that's where I like Henry in the scene before the ball when he was like, you have to let me in, I'm the future king. I was like, shut up, bro.
Oh my God.
She's not even queen yet, and you guys aren't even like announcing your like, shut up, bro. I hated that so much.
When Henry and Diem were getting hot and heavy, didn't he say something to the effect of, say those words to me or say it to me again or something? And
something
it was
like that.
Be my mortal king.
Something
he was
like
like
that.
trying to get her to say that. Just barf.
He seems to want her to serve him too. And so not only does he want to be king, he wants to have the power. So if he were to be king or become king consort, I have a feeling he would try and take the throne.
Well, and
her.
he like...
Or gaslight her into giving it to him power.
And Luther was all, if that's what you want, I'll live with it. I'll help make it happen. Oh, Luther, you're too good for your own good.
Yeah, my sweet boy. My sweet baby boy.
Okay, so I have to read my favorite declaration of love from Luther. When he said, "You are my queen and I am your sword. Point me at your enemies and watch them fall. Lead this world, Diem, and I will follow you. Into war, into death, into the tundra of hell itself. You are the fate my heart was spared for. As long as it beats, you will never fight alone." Just like... It's like that with the image of the vision that they share where they're just like these twin flame people.
But not twins.
Not twins. Actual twins.
Twin flames.
Let's not leave that flavor in our mouth.
They're not related. I have it on a, like, Jess has
Good
promised
authority.
me that they are not related.
Penn Cole has confirmed that in book 4 we're not going to find out that these...
Thank you,
They better
Penn
not
Cole.
be related.
She promised.
I mean, okay, switching gears here. I'm glad that we got more time and we see that actually the Griverns in this book, we do kind of get like a taste of what we get in Fourth Wing. We don't hear the voices in our head, at least not yet. I don't know if that's going to develop because we saw that one ruler of the other realm that's able to speak to animals. So like maybe it's a thing. But we got to see how sassy Saray is. And we did learn that there are 3 ways that they can die, which one of them was the way the Fortos Grivern died, which was getting struck by an arrow and falling onto Kirill. The soil just like insta-kills.
Because
so beheading,
the Griverns
Godstone
cannot
to the
step
heart.
foot on that island.
On Kirill, yeah. So now I'm just like, if there's a battle coming, I'm not ready for this.
She better not die. That's all I'm saying. That's like, I will be so mad, just like I would be mad if Andarna dies.
You guys were like, I wonder what kind of personality she's gonna have. And I wanted to be like, the best personality!
Best personality. She is dresses.
She is the sweetest. She is a fashion icon.
Picking dresses. I
like
it.
how she always dresses her like very, very risky too. Which is the going style, but I love that she always pushes her buttons towards like, nope, you need more skin on.
You guys just need to get through book 3 so we can talk about things that happen.
Okay.
It's just hurry up, Sandra.
Tara's already halfway done.
Hey, bitch. I did.
Sandra's like, I was the good one.
That would not surprise me.
You
get rewarded nothing for being good.
I've almost slipped on like 3 different things, so I just really need you guys to get there.
Well,
yeah, I knew that one. I was like, no, don't say it. It's not in this book.
Yeah,
I bought the audiobook,
Tara
so I will
hasn't
be
even
starting
gotten to yet. So that I really want to talk about. So I'm just
Jesse.
I'm
does it heat up? Because these have been the most excruciating slow burns with this romance and tension between Luther and Diem.
Okay.
I thought we would have something would have happened by now.
Yeah.
But we keep getting just these really intimate moments, like the dinner when she had her lace-up shoes and he was like had her legs up and he was taking her shoes off and giving her a little foot rub and stuff. I was like, oh my god, is this the perfect male?
Yeah, because he didn't ask for more.
Just like I'm here to serve you, my queen.
So the 3rd book is called Heat of the Everflame. And
so read into that what you will.
Okay, so these book titles are parallel with their romance.
I won't promise you anything other than that. Things heat up a little bit.
Okay. I'm gonna get listening tonight.
So maybe.
I've got a grade.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah, Sandra will catch up to me tonight.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I think that's all the things I texted you guys.
Okay. We missed a huge thing. We briefly talked about it in the 1st book, but let's discuss Teller and Lily. Because remember before the challenge, Luther's like, I gotta tell you something. And you can't react. She immediately reacts because he's like, your brother kissed my sister. I love them so much.
Even the bonus scene, when you read that, Tara, more little moments with Lily and Teller and Diem and Luther's reaction. It's so cute. It's a lot of Terran heavy moments too.
Yeah, and in this bonus scene of this book, Luther's talking to Terran, but we never actually learn Terran's name.
Oh, in the 1st book, the bonus
in the bonus chapter in the back of the hardcover edition.
I do love Lily and Teller, and I'm hoping that we find out a way that they can be together without any repercussions, which I think we will. I want them together for the long term.
And we still don't think it's weird for siblings.
Are you talking brothers, brother-in-law? Like, I'm your brother-in-law twice now.
Yeah. That's fine. Are we fine with that? How do we feel about that?
That's not incest.
It's not incest because they're not step siblings or foster siblings or anything blood related. And it's really,
they're both only half siblings in the first place.
That's true. They're like a quarter related at most. by law.
Okay.
I've
been struggling with this, if you can't tell.
I was
But I
kind
do
of
think they're
hoping
cute.
I was kind of hoping that we'd find out that Arlie was also descended and like that she was like hiding who she was and stuff, so that Teller was actually the half mortal and that Diem was full descended, because my brain was like, if Diem had like normal colored eyes and normal colored hair until she was like 10, maybe Orally like figured out a way to like hide their descendedness and stuff, but I think it's pretty clear that Orally's immortal at this point. I was kind of hoping that that would be a loophole to get Teller and Lily together, and that was why Teller was able to go to the descended school, was because he was technically one of them and like all of this stuff. But I don't know, I'm also hoping that like maybe there's a way to extend Teller's life.
Yeah.
You know? I don't
All
know.
of those moments where Teller and Diem would make eye contact because they were both thinking the same thing about just the briefness of his life. Ugh.
Oh.
I just want something to happen, something to help.
Maybe we can do like a cauldron and make him descended.
To put him in the cauldron.
We can just Feyre him, it's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine.
But seriously, Teller's character, Lily, Taryn, I love them so much. Eleanor.
Yeah, Taryn and Eleanor are like my two. I mean, obviously Lily's still one of my favorites, but Taryn and Eleanor were like really just like massive characters in this book. And that's why, like, after you read book 1, I'm like, you haven't even met my favorite characters yet.
I love how Lily tells a story and then they're all like, wait, no, that's not how it really happened. She's a little dramatic. It's fine.
Lily has my heart because I'm the same way. Like, I will add some embellishment for dramatic flair.
She's the best. We talked about the horse. We talked about the bonded bargain and the funeral. House receptions was just a formality, really. Young Corbois dinner party. Ileana, bitch.
Ileana's the worst.
I know.
It's not a fun book unless there's a little bit of jealousy and insecurity, right? So somebody had to have an ex that like showed up and
we already have Henry though.
Now we have 2.
Henry's not an ex because when she showed up to break it off with him, he wasn't there.
That's right. She hasn't said anything.
But we have that for jealousy. Like,
that's true, but you have to have that mutual jealousy, right? Like how in Fourth Wing, Xaden technically can be jealous of Dane, but we had to have Kat show up in book 2 to give Violet a reason to be upset. Like,
yep.
You know, but yeah, I'm excited. I think this is good. I do have a rec for you guys because as I was reading this series, it really reminded me of the Lady of Darkness series by Melissa K. I think her last name is pronounced like Reich. Right, and it is a completed series. There's like 5 or 6 of them. They're not the same book, but the vibes match.
I trust you. I do.
I don't. No.
But Sandra, you can't read that series until you finish Tera and Soul because I'm still waiting on you for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so, read faster, Sandra. Read faster.
After I edit this damn episode. After I edit this episode, I will read Heat.
This was a 5-star for me. You guys were talking about your stars earlier, and Tara, I'll let you know that I don't go super in depth with it. I never give less than 3 stars. If I rate a book at all, it's 3 or higher. If I like the book a lot, I'll give it 4. If like I'm likely to reread it soon, but I didn't like love it, and then like the books that I love and I think are like well written and like gripping and just like really good typically are 5-star reads for me. Spark was 4, Glow is 5, and then Heat goes back to 4. And Heat was almost a 5. I struggled with my rating on that one.
The hard thing for me is it's hard to score each individual book because I always tend to look at it as a series as a whole. Like if I look at ACOTAR or Throne of Glass, I'm like, oh yeah, 5-star series. I love them. I love the characters, everything that happens. Do I love each and every book? No. But as a whole, I'm like 5 stars. So I feel like this is going to be a 5-star series for me by the end of it.
With ACOTAR, I always tell people like each book is better than the last one. Like Silver Flames is my top ACOTAR book, and then it like goes down in descending order. Like Wings and Ruin is 2nd, Mist and Fury is 3rd, and Thorns and Roses is last. But that's also because like I'm not a huge Fae Sand person. I'm definitely like Team Nessian all the way.
I want to be Team Asriel.
Yeah, whoever Asriel gets with, I don't care.
I'm Team Gwynriel on that one. I am super excited, Sandra and Tara, for both of you to complete book 3. It's going to be really fun, and I can't wait
so excited
for us to talk about it. So
Jess just wants to be able to talk.
I'm just here. Yeah, I'm just here for the vibes,
She's
man.
like, I can't hold it back anymore.
I won't have to bring this book with me because I won't have to hide my face.
Then we'll all be on the same level playing field. And not knowing what's next. I can't wait. Jessie, thank you so much for doing this little mini series with us. It's been so fun talking theories and being proven wrong on several occasions over and over again. But really looking forward to talking about Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole. So that episode will be next Tuesday, so on November 5th. Go vote. Don't forget. But all right, until next time, we will see you soon. Bye.